Hey everybody. Hi there. It is Natalie from Power Moon Tarot. And tonight I have a special treat for you guys. I am going to be going over the entrance of Pluto into Aquarius for every single sign. And I'm going to be talking about what it means for you in particular. And before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and check the technology. Good. We are up and running. Awesome. Okay. Let me share my screen with you all and go ahead and all righty. Everybody, if you are joining now or joining later, feel free to say hi in the chat. Thank you for being here. And I am starting out with how to watch this video. So if you're wondering, how in the heck do I even watch this video? And what do I even do? Be sure to look at the timestamps below and find your sign and find your rising sign. So if you're a Leo rising, you would watch the Leo rising portion of the video. If you're a Taurus rising, you would watch Taurus. So do watch for your rising sign. Don't watch for your sun sign, because I'm going to be interpreting Pluto's position in your chart based on your rising sign. And if you don't know what your rising sign is, and you know your birth time, there's plenty of astro.com has a website, a free website where you can type in your birth time, where you were born, and it will show you your rising sign in case you're not sure. But you will need your rising sign for this little video. And hi, Empress. Hi. Oh, good. Hi, Jojo. Welcome to the reading. Thank you for being here. And you're welcome, the Empress. You are so welcome, my friend. And I want to talk a little bit about before we begin. Okay, so watch for the timestamps after I publish this video. Watch for the timestamps to find your particular rising sign. Also, after each particular sign, I'm going to be doing a small tarot reading after each particular rising sign for that rising sign to talk a little bit about Pluto and Aquarius too. So I'm going to be taking a combination of astrology and tarot to basically come up with predictions for you for Pluto into Aquarius. And, Pluto is moving into Aquarius as of January 20th. We got a little bit of a taste of it last year when Pluto moved into an Aquarius, but Pluto is switching signs into Aquarius after 15 years of being in Capricorn. And Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is a very long-term transit. And for those of you that are wondering, I'd love to hear your Pluto stories too. For those of you that know astrology and you know where Pluto and Capricorn has been in your chart. Like for me, I'm a Libra rising. And so Pluto and Capricorn has been in my fourth house. And when I get into the Libra section, I will be talking about, what happened when Pluto was in Capricorn and now what I predict may happen now that Pluto is going into Aquarius. And I'll be talking about that in each sign. For 15 years, you've had Pluto and Capricorn in this part of your chart. And now for the next 20 years, you're having Pluto and Aquarius in this part of your chart. And I would love to hear the Empress is Leo rising. Amazing. Cool. Okay, good. You know your rising sign. And so I'd love to hear your Pluto and Capricorn stories. If you know astrology a little bit and you know what's been going on for the last 15 years, drop what's been going on in the chat, respond in the comments to this video and let me know. I've been asking all my friends, hey, how's it been for the last 15 years? How's it been going since 2008, 2009? And especially if I know their chart and I know where Pluto was at in their particular chart. So if you're a friend of mine and you got hey, how's it been going for the last 15 years? Text for me in the last month, then, please forgive me for my intrusions. But anyway, before we begin, I want to talk a little bit about Pluto because I think Pluto is so very fascinating. And Pluto, because of its eccentric orbit, it actually orbits on its side. And the sun only hits the north or the south pole at various times during the year. Because of that, Pluto, Pluto is a very like icy and remote planet with a very weird orbit. And because it has such a weird orbit, 1 year on Earth is equal to 248 years on Pluto. So it takes for Pluto to go through all of the zodiac signs, to go through every single zodiac sign, it takes Pluto 248 years to do that. That is a long time. But because Pluto has such a weird orbit, it doesn't stay in a sign for the same time. It can be different. For example, Pluto was in Capricorn for 15 years, and now Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And I love this little article here that I have up on my screen called Pluto's Cold, Lonely Heart, because if you can look at their, so when the New Horizons probe went past Pluto and took pictures of Pluto in space in July of 2015, it actually took pictures, and what they found was that there is this really interesting, huge heart shape. Can you guys see where my cursor is right there, drawing that heart shape? I'll circle it too. Do you see the heart shape right there on Pluto? There's this big old heart on Pluto on the surface, according to these pictures that were taken by this probe that was taking pictures way out in space. And I just think that that is very interesting about the heart on Pluto. And there's one astrologer that I really like that talks about Pluto, that says that Pluto is like guiding us through the changes and guiding us through the ups and downs and the hardship and all the different stuff that we go through in life. Like Pluto is there to guide us and actually is there to help us and to help us go through losses and go through changes, and to learn to accept the losses and the changes that we're going through. Like Pluto is actually there to kind of take our hand and help us through those changes. And it's kind of funny here because they're calling it Pluto's Cold, Lonely Heart, with the heart there, which is a reference to Pluto being an ice planet and having like ice volcanoes all over it. It has little gravity. And like if you jump up too high, like if you were quote unquote standing on Pluto and you jumped up too high, you would all of a sudden like go into orbit around Pluto with its other moons, which I just think is, I mean, all of this information is very interesting about Pluto. But I also think what's interesting about Pluto going into Aquarius is a sign known for being like more remote or more distant or more aloof. And like in Vedic astrology, for instance, the Sanskrit word for Aquarius actually means heart disease. And so when we think of Aquarius, we can think of like heart disease, which, you know, I'm not saying all Aquarians have heart disease or at a major risk for it. I'm just saying that, and that, for example, my astrology teacher, my Vedic astrology teacher, Indian astrology teacher, wrote in her book that actually has to do perhaps with Aquarians having a hard time, maybe having a bit more hard time with their emotions, or emotions being a little bit more aloof emotionally. And, you know, it's interesting because Pluto is such an icy, remote, cold planet, like so far out there away from the sun, going into like remote, cold Aquarius. Now, Aquarius, of course, is at a time of the year is in winter. You know, in the Northern Hemisphere, Aquarius is in the winter time. And so it is like a very cold, dark time in the Northern Hemisphere during Aquarius time. Not to say that all Aquarians are cold and dark and, you know, all of that, but it is a big change. I think from Capricorn, where Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and yes, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, but Capricorn is also a cardinal sign. And so things get moving a lot quicker in Capricorn than they do in Aquarius, which is a fixed sign. And so I kind of wonder about, you know, the aloofness or the remoteness that sometimes comes up with Aquarius and how that will impact everything as we watch Pluto going into Aquarius, particularly in our individual charts. And I also find it interesting that Aquarius is opposite to Leo, and Leo, of course, is the king or the authority. And so is Pluto in Aquarius a challenge to authority and a challenge to the status quo authority? And so these are some particular things that I think we can think about as we are moving into Pluto and Aquarius. And, you know, what's really interesting is this year on Valentine's Day, there's going to be a triple conjunction in Aquarius. Mars, Venus, and Pluto are all going to be in a conjunction in Aquarius on Valentine's Day this year. So we will have an opportunity to see if Pluto has a cold, lonely heart or a warm heart. we will find out, won't we? But let's go ahead. With that being said, now I'd like to go ahead and get into the individual predictions by your sign. And so let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with Aries. And for my Aries folks, let's go ahead and begin. All right. So I've got my notes here. Yay. So if you see me referencing my notes, don't kill me. That is what I am doing if I am looking down. I'll also be doing a tarot reading at the end of this, Aries, and this is for Aries rising. Again, if you're watching Aries, then that means you're an Aries rising. And so make sure you know your rising sign before watching the video, and you can see where is Pluto. So Pluto in Aquarius, for my Aries rising folks, this is going to be Pluto in your 11th house. Okay. So you'll have Pluto going through your 11th house for the next 20 years. And 15 years prior, all the way back to 2008, you had Pluto in Capricorn in your 10th house. Okay. And just broad high level, the 10th house is your house of your career, your ambitions, your goals. And so you had Pluto for the last 15 years going through your 10th house, and now it's entering your 11th house of friendship, benefactors, supporters, and profit from your business and things like that. So the 11th house, as we know, is oftentimes, a lot of people refer to it like as the house of friends. But what are friends? Friends are the people that support us. Friends are the people we network with. Friends are the people that, you know, bring positivity into our life. And so Aries folks, you guys, and actually what's interesting about Pluto and Aquarius is for you guys is Pluto is going to be in a sextile to your ascendant, which is a positive relationship to your ascendant in Aries, where in the past 15 years, Pluto was in your 10th house and it was squaring your ascendant. And so you're actually stepping into a 20-year period where Pluto is actually can be a more, now it's not to say Pluto wasn't a powerful player for you in the last 15 years, but I actually think Pluto has an opportunity to be more helpful to you perhaps in the next coming 20 years as it moves into your 11th house. Okay. And so here are some notes for my Aries rising people. So Pluto has moved on from your 10th house of career ambitions and goals and is now moving into your 11th house of wishes, fulfillment, friends, and gain from your career. The 11th house in astrology is the house of good fortune and comfort and relief. It is a house of having a positive attitude, and Jupiter is said to rejoice in the 11th house. And so this for you, Aries, may bring a lot of really positive. Now, I do think when it comes to the groups that you're involved, to the friendships you're involved with, to the people that support you, I do think there may be a clearing out, because Pluto does have to do with, you know, ruthless changes and the clearing out of things. And so there may be a clearing out of people in the past that you associated with, or that you were friends with, or that were a part of your life. You may see a clearing out or a dying out of some of those relationships. But what they get replaced with is really powerful mentors and friends that actually get where you're coming from. And I think when Pluto was in Capricorn in your 10th house in the past 15 years, you may have encountered like a lot of people, especially as you were pursuing your goals and your dreams and your ambitions or your career, that were directly challenging you or trying to stop you, or were just creating, you're trying to get ahead, but they're creating roadblocks, and there's power struggles and issues. And it might have pushed a lot of Aries into self-employment at that time. And there might have been, in the prior 15 years for you, Aries, a lot of like, leaving jobs and saying goodbye to old positions, leaving old bosses turning on you. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Like switching gears when it came to your career, or just becoming very frustrated with the structure that you work in and wanting things to move quicker, which could have made a lot of my Aries want to go out there and do their own thing. And now that Pluto is moving into Aquarius for the next 20 years, we see what is happening with the people around you. Now, again, it may result in certain friendships or groups or networks that you're a part of, like falling apart, or you having to step up and take a leadership role in some of those groups and friendships that you're a part of, because the person doing it can't do it anymore. Or, maybe even something happens to them where they're taken out of the picture. They can't do it anymore. So you have to step up to the plate and take ownership and take control of that. And you're going to be in a powerful position to do that. The 11th house in astrology is a social house. It's an air house, and it does have to do with, networking and relating to others, and also meeting like powerful mentors or powerful influences that you can incorporate into your life that actually makes sense. And on the other hand, you may become a powerful influence or a powerful mentor in groups that you belong to. And and again, this is a sextile, forming a sextile to your ascendant, which is a positive, beneficial, harmonious relationship. And so for my Aries, I feel like, anything that cuts back on the time and the issues and the problems and gets rid of those and just puts the right people in place to lead things is something that you guys can get on board and appreciate. And I think you guys are actually going to like Pluto into Aquarius. Again, you may see a clearing out of friends you once knew or acquaintances you once knew, but I think it's for the better. It's for the better. And because Pluto is going to be opposing your 5th house of children and creativity, I also feel that for those of you that are parents and you're becoming empty nesters, or your children are going off on their own adventure, or for those of you Aries that are actually going to be having children in the next 20 years, like there's a lot of things here with, friendships and groups and children. And so if I have children or I have responsibilities, do I have to cut back on my social activities and only do the things that really provide value to me because I'm busy with my children? Or on the other hand, have your children left the nest and they're kind of off doing their own thing? And so now all of a sudden, new creative hobbies and interests and ways of making money and all kinds of new ways of looking at things and doing things suddenly become available to you because you have all this open space in your life, because things have really changed when it comes to your children, or if your children are around, especially for my Aries who are going to be empty nesters in the next 20 years and not have your children in your household anymore. This is a new opportunity for you guys to kind of get involved in things and decide what you want to be a part of. And I think that your voice is really going to matter. And so for my Aquarians, that is what I am seeing for you guys. Let me see if there's any. I would also say too, for my Aries, is that making sure that your circulation, because the 11th house rules your circulation of your blood, and the 5th house has to do with your heart and your spine in medical astrology. So I would just say making sure that you're taking really good care of your back, your upper back, your lower back, your spine, your circulation, any heart issues, anything that needs testing, anything that comes up. I would just say making sure that you're taking care of that. And if you need to remind any of your friends that are not taking very good care of themselves or their health, hey, I'm worried, you need to go do something, do that. You know, we just want to be careful of that and make sure people are taking care of themselves. But other than that, Aries, I feel like this is actually a good transit for you, in the sense that, and maybe at first, you know, it feels a little antisocial, or it feels a little bit difficult, or but I think it actually is for the better. So just remember, if things kind of fall apart in your social circles, it's making way for new, better structures to kind of pop up in your life. Okay. If friendships are kind of disappearing or if things are falling off the map. And yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and grab my tarot cards for you, Aries, and I'm going to pull some cards here to talk about this Pluto and Aquarius transit for you. And I'm also going to get one card from my from my deck that I love. And I'm going to do this after each sign from my Listen Bitch deck as well, because I feel that's very Plutonian to be like, listen, you know. So let's go ahead and look at Aries. So for Aries, Spirit, can you tell me and look at me? I'm shuffling my cards here for Aries, and I'm saying, what should Aries expect as Pluto moves into Aquarius? What does Aries need to know as Pluto moves into Aquarius? What does Aries need to know as Pluto moves into Aquarius, please? Okay. All right, Aries. And I'm going to give you one Listen Bitch card as well. Everybody gets one. Okay. As Pluto is like bringing us to the truth here. Let's go ahead and see, what does Aries need to know for this next transition of their life, please? What does Aries need to know? There we go. Okay. All right. On the bottom of the deck is that thing you're self-conscious about is what makes you light up the fucking room. So that's on the bottom of the deck. And let's see what your card is. Your card is, okay, this is for you guys. Tell the negative assholes in your head to sit in a corner for a lifelong time out. And this can be where you're 86ing friends and people out of your posse, or you're telling all the negative assholes in your head, even just, you know, thoughts that you can't do it, or thoughts that it's not worth it, you know, telling all of that negativity, get back, Satan, not today. Okay. And just telling all the negative assholes in your head or around you to sit in the corner for a lifelong timeout. And that may be like in times where you are in big groups of people, or you are getting to know new people, because Pluto was in your 10th house, squaring you for a while. You may have this kind of paranoia when you are like meeting new people, like, they're out to get me, or they don't like me, or you know, something's wrong with them, or this type of thing. I would just, you know, if you are having those kind of feelings, I mean, obviously pay attention to your intuition and your instincts, but try not to be overly paranoid when you're meeting new people or getting to know new people, because I do think powerful energies are trying to align with you. So let them in the doorway. They could be very helpful. Ooh, my goodness. We've got the Devil, we've got the Empress, and we've got the Page of Cups. Oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, so we've got the Devil, the Empress, and the Page of Cups. Okay, so this is the tell the negative assholes in your head to sit in the corner for a lifelong time out. Now, as I mentioned, like you guys just kind of, and the Devil, of course, in the tarot represents Capricorn. So the last 15 years, as Pluto is squaring your ascendant, dealing with a lot of situations that felt very frustrating or limiting or upsetting to you, or situations that you feel like, you know, clawed at your self-worth, or like demoralized you is also what I'm getting. Situations in your career or like when your outlook was very pessimistic, perhaps, or you felt very like perhaps attacked or limited by people in your environment, Aries, okay? And maybe you didn't say something at the time, or maybe you were just overlooking certain traits that people had. But I feel like, at the time, or maybe there was just too much going on for you to really deal with certain aspects of your life. And I feel like for you guys, as you move into Pluto, into Aquarius, really recognizing how lovely you are and how beautiful, lovely, and amazing you are, and that people do want to be around you and people do want to be in your energy. And, maybe that's part of the problem, is all the wrong people wanting to be around you or be in your energy. And maybe sometimes you were just a little bit too nice to say something about it. Okay. And perhaps in your career at times, as you were trying to grow, the Empress feeling very blocked and limited, the Devil, as you were trying to push through these limitations, Pluto and Capricorn. Okay. But I actually feel like with the Page of Cups here, things becoming much easier. And I see you guys. Ooh, and look at that. Look at the two swans. Look at that beautiful, beautiful love energy. And when it comes to staying stuck in situations that don't appreciate you and don't value you, and there's a lot of power struggles and differences, I actually feel Pluto moving into Aquarius, like you guys have learned a lot. You've really learned a lot. And it's a softer time for you with the Page of Cups. Like I talked about, it's a softer, vulnerable, more vulnerable time for you. And for some of you, I do see perhaps maybe letting love into your life again, or opening up. Again, the Page of Cups is very creative, and Pluto is across from the 5th house of creativity. And so letting that, maybe love is an inspiring energy that brings a new sense of creativity into your life and kind of like softens you up in a way after like all the debris is cleared. Okay. And basically Pluto coming to give you guys a really positive message about, telling any negativity to kind of get back and stay away and allow for more ease and vulnerability to kind of come through. Okay. So Aries, that is what I am getting for you guys. As you guys, I feel softened a little more, actually. And after everything you've been through with Pluto and Capricorn, it has not been easy. You guys deserve a break. Okay, my loves? And you were holding things together beautifully, but it's not your responsibility anymore, as Pluto is leaving out of Capricorn and really tested you, I feel, Aries, during that time. So let's go ahead and move on to Taurus. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys where Pluto is for Taurus rising. Okay, so let's move on to Taurus. Okay, so for my Taurus people, for the last 15 years, Pluto has been in your 9th house of higher spirituality, foreign travel, luck and comfort, journeys, exciting journeys to new environments, exploration, guidance and advice from those more knowledgeable, dreams and visions. And the 9th house is also the house of Dharma and right action. And for my Taurus risings, perhaps you have been on a spiritual quest or a spiritual journey in the last, let's say, 15 years. And perhaps you have been building your skills. For those of you, as far as like what you're studying and what you're working on and what you're learning, I really feel with Pluto and Capricorn trine your ascendant for the last 15 years, since 2008, you've been really like working on something, you've been studying, you've been learning, and you've been grounding what you've been learning in a realistic type of way. And Some of you may have started businesses or, making money from your spiritual interests or travel. Some of my Tauruses may have spent more money on travel or gone different places in the last like 15 years or so. Okay. But it's about a spirituality that's very like grounded and real. And I also feel like finding ways to relax in this crazy world is maybe something that you guys were working on too. I also think Tauruses with your ninth house for the last 15 years, perhaps some of you had crises in your faith, or you changed religions, or you explored different religions, etc. Okay. So we have Tauruses experiencing the 10th house or the ninth house for the last 15 years. Now, for my Tauruses, my Taurus rising people, you have Pluto and Aquarius in your 10th house for the next 20 years, okay? And Pluto is going to be squaring your beautiful Taurus ascendant. And it's going to give you guys plenty of opportunity to understand your willpower in situations and to carve out a space for yourself and to push through any challenges. Okay. And you guys are going from Pluto and Capricorn making a trine to your ascendant to Pluto in Aquarius making a square to your ascendant. So it's a little more of a challenging relationship here with Pluto and Aquarius for my Taurus rising people. But I know you guys are going to rise to the occasion, and I know you are not going to give up on what you're working on, because what you're working on is incredibly important right now. Gen X Yogi. Oh my gosh. Yay. Thank you for being here. Gemini, Cancer, cusp. So rising, a Leo rising. Okay. Amazing. We have the Empress, which is also a Leo rising. So you guys are going to love it when I get to the Leo ones. Thank you for being here, Gen X Yogi. Thank you. Thank you. And so for my Taurus rising people, your Pluto in Aquarius is entering your 10th house of Karma Bhava, or action taken in the world. Okay. What happens in our 10th house affects our future lives, and it shows our potential for glory and success. Okay. Planets are very energized in the 10th house. The 10th house is very powerful. Now, for those of you Taurus risings that also have planets in the 10th house, Pluto is going to be making conjunction to those planets as it moves through Aquarius over the next 20 years. And this is a very powerful time for my Taurus rising people. Okay. And your feelings around status and also failure come into focus right now, but also your focus and your determination to change your reality are in big demand right now. And it's not to say that you won't run into challenges and you won't run into jealousy or, excuses or problems or things like that. But I also know for my Taurus rising people that you are tenacious and that you're not going to give up. And Pluto is really, applying the pressure for the next 20 years, saying, if I'm going to make something out of this, I need to do it now. If I'm going to rise to the occasion and make something happen, it needs to happen now. And I also feel with Pluto and Aquarius in your 10th house, it does turn up the volume and turn up the pressure on your career and on your goals. And that may be challenging because, as I mentioned, Pluto is also squaring your ascendant. And, our ascendant has to do with our health and our well-being. And so being able to handle, the pressures of what's coming, I feel like for my Tauruses is important. And it is important that you find ways to relax and release and let go, because I do feel like the next 20 years are going to be pretty action-packed for you guys. And you're going to have ups and downs, I feel, in your career. and you're going to have some extremes going on. And keep in mind, this is in the sign of Aquarius, and my Taurus people aren't always known for being the most like technologically up to date. And for my Tauruses who are feeling like they're not super technologically up to date, there's going to be pressure, I think, to change. And there's going to be pressure to change your skills and to upskill and learn new things. And, it's because like you don't want to get left behind, right? And so the challenge is to take it head on and to learn these new skills and to employ them in what you're doing. And I do think you could have a very powerful up and coming 20 years, perhaps the most powerful career years of your entire life are coming, but it's also really fucking intense, Tauruses. And so I need you guys to kind of bear down with me and hold on for the ride. And the other thing with Pluto in your 10th house is people who are openly challenging you, or people who are jealous of the success that you rightfully earned, or people that are challenging your position in some way. Now, keeping in mind challenge and competition and all these types of things really increase our drive to like do better. You know what I mean? And so I do think that there is increased tenacity, endurance, and drive in my Tauruses to really make something happen. And the thing is I feel Taurus is you don't want to get locked into battles with people where it's like battles of the will, or where someone is insisting on their way and that's the only way it can be done. And also be careful of being unwilling to change and learn new things, because you're feeling fearful, or you're feeling fearful of losing control. And especially for Tauruses who like to, kind of maintain a routine and a flow and maintain control over what they're doing. There may be people that enter into your career life or your work life that suddenly become controlling or create situations where you're really like locked down on something, or you feel like you're being controlled. And so I do think if Tauruses start experiencing that, they're definitely going to rebel or try to find alternative ways out of those situations. And Tauruses, if people push you into a corner, they're going to find out what happens when the claws come out, and they're going to find out what happens when you're challenged in a certain way. And, Pluto has an element of ruthlessness to it that doesn't appreciate being like interrupted when it's trying to do something. And so, for my more easygoing Tauruses, I do think this is a shift and a change for you. But I do think all the work that you were doing when Pluto was in Capricorn to educate yourself and to, form grounded spiritual practices, travel, get a wider perspective on things, question and challenge the status quo. Like, I think all of that is actually like going to help you guys as you move into this Pluto into Aquarius period. And so you're going to be staking your claim and carving out a powerful place for yourself in the collective with Pluto and Aquarius in your 10th house. And you really do want to power up your mission statement at this time. Like, what is my mission? Why am I doing this? And I think that's really important for you too, Taurus, so you don't get locked into doing something, which Tauruses so often do, can sometimes get locked into doing something without thinking about it, just making sure like, I know what my mission is here and I know what I'm doing, and I'm not just checking boxes. I'm actually like, I've got a higher mission in mind. And so If you encounter others who are jealous and controlling or try to force your hand when it comes to your work, your career, the things you're working on and doing it, you will not succumb to that, and you will refuse to give up on your goals. Okay. And, when someone hits a nerve and tries to test your endurance, like, you guys are going to come through, and it's totally worth it at the end of the day, because the gains you're going to make during the next 20 years are important for you. And I also think that, Pluto is opposing your fourth house of family, of changes in where you live, moving for work. Okay. So Taurus is, for those of you that have lived in the same place for a long time, or, your relatives have lived in a particular place for the same time, we may see family having to move because of your work or because of your job. We may see changes in relationships with family. We may also see, hopefully not, but especially for those of you who are a little bit older, there may be the passing of some family members and some handling of responsibilities that you need to do as a result of that are also kind of, pressure filled. And so my Tauruses, I know you guys are strong. I know you're reliant, self-reliant and strong and all of that and reliable, but I just want to make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves, because this is a little intense. And there may be a time during these 20 years where family has to move to be closer to you. You have to be moved for your work or your job, and you have to be away from family for a while. There may be some changes as it results to, changes with your family and with relatives and where you live, having to do with your work situation. Or having to do like with your health and well-being, as well, as Pluto is going to be squaring your ascendant. Okay, so Tauruses, that is what I am seeing for you as Pluto enters Aquarius into your 10th house. I am going to go ahead and pull a couple cards for you guys. Okay, and let me go ahead and pull a few for the Tauruses. Okay. And then we'll move on to Gemini. So Tauruses, let's do it. If you can't beat them, join them, right, Tauruses? No, just kidding. I feel you guys are really going to be putting the smack down with the Pluto in your 10th house, okay? And you may need to, make some difficult decisions and take some difficult stances publicly. For those of you Tauruses that are involved, that have a public profile of any kind, or involved in politics in any kind of a way, there may be some public stances that you're having to take, I feel, as well. And that may impact your family or family relationships, is something that I'm seeing. So let's go ahead and see from a tarot perspective, what does Taurus need to know about Pluto moving into Aquarius? What does Taurus need to know here? Okay. All right, Tauruses, I'm going to get you guys a listen bitch card as well for your lovely benefit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a card for Tauruses, please. For Tauruses, please, as we move into Pluto into Aquarius for Taurus. Okay, there it is. Okay, your best is more than enough. I promise. That's on the bottom of the deck. Okay. And we have here, all right, Tauruses. If you were able to believe in Santa and the Tooth Fairy, you can definitely believe in yourself. Okay. So even if you come up against challenges or things that trouble you, like, and that really makes sense with your 9th house too, about believing in things. If you were able to believe in Santa and the Tooth Fairy, you can definitely believe in yourself. And ooh, we've got the King of Wands. I knew it. Spicy. There you go. We've got the Ace of Pentacles. Yes, you know it. And the Ace of Swords. Get ready. Get ready, Taurus. Get ready to party. Here you guys are. All right. What are you going to do with your mind, your resources, your money, your time, your effort? You're the one in control. And you're the one that is going to be making the decisions and making the calls. And so it's really important. I also feel with the Ace of Pentacles that you guys really ground yourself, take care of yourself, try to make your decisions. Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, from a very grounded, calm space. And once you make a decision or once you make a call on something, you don't have time to waste. So trust and believe in the choices that you make and go from there. Like, you don't need to go back to anything. The thing is to keep moving forward and to be very confident in the choices that you're making. And people are looking up to you. You know, people are definitely looking up to you as a leader and as a person who has authority and credibility. And they're looking for you to, they're looking for information from you. They're looking for, you know, they need you and your input in this situation, Taurus, okay? And you guys really being asked to, you know, center yourself in your belief in yourself, okay? And be ready to take some determined, brave actions, okay, during this Pluto and Aquarius phase. All right, my Tauruses, that is what I am getting for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Gemini next, okay? So let's do Gemini, and let's go ahead and take away all the little lines, and we will move Gemini. Oh, there we go. There's Gemini. Okay. So Gemini, you guys have had, for the last 15 years, your Pluto and Capricorn, since 2008 up until now, has been in the 8th house, okay, which forms a difficult relationship to your ascendant, which is called an inconjunct. Now Pluto is moving into Aquarius, into your 9th house, and Pluto will be forming a trine or a positive relationship to your ascendant. And so this is actually good. And keeping in mind that when we get to Gemini and Libra and Aquarius, all three air signs are, as if those are your ascendants, if your ascendant is in air, then Pluto is either on your ascendant, Pluto is either on your ascendant, or Pluto is trining your ascendant. And so my air signs, particularly the Geminis and the Libras, you guys should be receiving some really positive benefits from Pluto and Aquarius, okay? But let's go ahead and dive in. So for the last 15 years, Pluto was in your 8th house, and the 8th house has to do with the mysteries of life, unexpected results, pain of endings, Kundalini, Shakti, your spouse's money, research, inner power, okay, secrecy, very private, hard to read events, legacies, debts, hidden wealth, power, loans, taxes, loss and decay, consolidate and withdraw, and reevaluate. These are all activities of the 8th house. Accept losses that are no longer fruitful, issues with family and money in family, handling family's money issues and power struggles with your partner, if you have a partner that you're dating, the power of debt to destroy for my Geminis who've been trying to deal with issues around money, and you've been dealing with issues around money and power, and you've been trying to pay down debt, or you've been dealing with tax situations, or you and your partner have, you know, argued about money in the past, or there's been power struggles about money, or you've had to deal with issues that have come up in your family, especially with inheritances, etc., around money. All of this stuff has to do with 8th house material. And like, especially in Capricorn, the practical realities of money and debt and what one needs in order to survive. What does one have to require in order to survive? And in the opposite sign of Cancer, I feel some of my Geminis could have been dealing with, Gemini risings could have been dealing with some, you know, serious money issues or income inequalities or the way money is handled in relationships or money issues in your family, particularly Geminis who went into debt or got out of debt during the last 15 years and have been dealing with those issues. And so that's definitely eighth house territory. And also for my Geminis who have dealt with, losses of family members, and you've dealt with losses of, parents or cousins or aunts and uncles, anybody in the family, and it caused monetary issues or monetary problems. My heart goes out to my Gemini risings out there who have been experiencing loss over the last 15 years and have been going through some deep grieving and deep losses over the last 15 years. And so I would like to point that out for my Geminis. And Hika Official says, thank you. It's my sign right now, so it's perfect because it wasn't easy to look for each signs in the live. Yeah, Hika, I'm sorry. I will go ahead and mark because the live is in real time. So after the live is over, I will go back and timestamp so you can watch your sign. So we are on Gemini right now. I'm glad that you're here, and thank you for saying that. And so for my Geminis who have been going through, and maybe I need to put a big, what if I write here, Gemini, so we know where we're at. Gemini. What if I did that? That way everybody knows I'm on Gemini. Okay. So I'm on Gemini right now, and Gemini rising, of course. And so what I want to say about Gemini rising is for those of you that have experienced losses in family, it's changed your family structure. You've gone through deep grief, loss, turmoil. The things that you've been experiencing have been very tough. And you've really had to learn your Pluto lessons big time. And, as Pluto moves into Aquarius, this actually starts to feel better for you guys. And Pluto is entering a new era, and it's entering in a new house. And actually, Pluto is going to be trining your ascendant in Gemini. And do you guys know how a lot of people are talking about Pluto and Aquarius as being a time of, like a lot of technological innovations, like a lot of, like new inventions and like flying cars and like all of these grand things. If anybody is going to come up with like flying cars or like crazy new ideas or ideas that really like push humanity forward and push humanity in a new direction, I feel like this is the time for my Geminis to shine. Like the ideas that you're having, the perspectives that you've learned from having Pluto in your eighth house, and the new spirituality for those of my Gemini risings of Pluto in your ninth house, and your faith has been tested, and you've been grieving and mourning things in your life, and you're ready to move into this new phase. And it's like there's a higher consciousness opening for you. And I feel that Geminis are early adapters. So it's like if there's new technologies, if there's new and exciting things, if there's a new virtual reality simulation where you can try it and then you're like you're like virtual reality traveling to like South Africa or something like that. Like I feel a Gemini would definitely get involved in that and get involved in those studies and get involved in that type of, new accelerated learning. And I do feel Geminis could really benefit from this transit. And you guys deserve it because of what you have been through. And Pluto is now moving into your ninth house of higher spiritual calling and awareness, and it will trine your ascendant, and you're feeling lighter and freer. Now, yes, Saturn is in Pisces here in your 10th house, and that may still feel kind of heavy, and it may make you feel like, oh, I'm getting old and things like that. But I do feel like your mind is energized by Pluto and Aquarius in your ninth house. Your mind is energized and it's good. Your goals and your dreams are changing. Your dreams and your visions for your life are expanding. You're exploring new topics. You're exploring spirituality. You're open to new ideas and teachings. The technology, the AI, the changes. You're a reformer and a leader, Gemini, in this space. People need your thoughtful input. And that's something to get excited about, like future cars and advancements and all this type of stuff. I also feel Geminis will be confronting their shadow as it comes to religion and spirituality and exploring new faiths and taking classes in order to kind of like be in the know. And Gemini is going to be an early adapter, I feel, for Pluto and Aquarius. And they're going to be like, look at this new thing. Look at what this gadget can do, especially when Uranus moves into Gemini, because in 2025, you Gemini risings, Uranus has been in Taurus in your 12th house. But as we move into 2025, Uranus is going to be moving across your ascendant and trining Pluto. Oh my God. If anybody's going to invent like a time travel machine or some weird gadget that can like take us into another place, I feel, over the next like 20 years, it is going to be the Gemini risings who are like quick with it and trying all kinds of new things, perhaps even some Geminis moving to like different countries or, doing a lot more travel that's very deeply spiritual, meaningful for them. I also feel because Gemini is a sign of the written word and also writing, that we could have some Geminis writing about some deeply powerful, profound spiritual experiences as well, and like taking it down with a pen and writing it out and turning out some amazing like works of literature is also what I feel. And what an exciting time to be a Gemini rising, because you guys are ultra plugged in to what's going on, and we need people that can decipher this new world and teach us. And with Pluto and Aquarius in your ninth house, I do think that is going to be happening. I do think that there could be some Gemini risings who are having like total crises when it comes to their religion or their faith, or are like becoming a different religion or a different faith. I do think that could happen too. And so Geminis, look out for Geminis to be inventors with design, architecture, religious conversions. They're going to challenge the status quo. They're going to write powerful essays and writings, and they're going to challenge dogma, and they're going to have the power to change other people's minds. And they're going to be all about, education, freedom of information, access to education, freedom of speech, profound changes and Geminis may experience profound changes during travel and have very spiritually deep, meaningful experiences while they're traveling abroad or going different places, and write about those changes and then share them with the rest of humanity. And so Geminis, I mean, you guys like Gemini rising. Wow. You guys really, you got it going on. Okay, good. Just in time for the Geminis. Alexandria is here. Amazing, amazing. So I'm so happy for the Geminis. Like, you guys have been through hell. You've been through tough, situations, loss, pain, etc. And boom, look at this Pluto and Aquarius era. Like Geminis are going to be thought leaders as we move into this, I feel. Okay. So let's get some information from the tarot regarding this transit of Pluto into Aquarius for Geminis. Okay. Gen X Yogi says, I'm working on a hybrid project book at this time, and I have an 11th house Gemini stellium, so this resonates. Yeah, definitely. That is, yeah, that's the Gemini energy. And if you have any Gemini planets in your chart, you don't even have to be a Gemini rising to get these benefits. If you have a lot of Gemini planets in your chart, then those Gemini planets are going to be juiced up by the trine from Pluto and Aquarius. And so, let your little light shine out there, my Gemini planet people. Let's go ahead and let's see. As they say, I've got this little light. I'm going to let it shine. Let's go ahead and what do Geminis need to know? Gemini risings need to know as they move along this new path. What do Gemini risings need to know? Okay. And I'm going to get you guys one of my Listen Bitch cards just for the fun of it. I love these cards because they're such a good reminder of what we need to remind ourselves of. So let's take a peek and see. Let's see here. What does Gemini need to know? I want this one. Okay. Let's do it. So your Listen Bitch card is no one else is dwelling on your mistakes. Move the fuck on. Yeah. And that's particularly because of the Pluto and Capricorn in the 8th house. So if you're like, shit, I didn't do that right, or I messed up my money, or I messed up somebody else's money, or didn't file my taxes right. I'm the worst human being on the planet, or, it's like I fucked up and I suffered because of it. It's like, it's okay. No one else is dwelling on your mistakes. It's good to move the fuck on. And so that is a very good, powerful message as Pluto is moving into Aquarius. We have 2 of Wands. It's an exciting time. I like it. We have the Page of Swords, full of ideas, ready to take action, ready to move on out on those. Ooh, yeah. There we go now. We've got the 2 of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. Very action-filled, very exciting, full of ideas, full of life. And look at the boat sailing in the background right there. Travel, adventure is awaiting you. And the only issue I would say is maybe that there's like so many ideas or so many new exciting things to kind of take on. You may have to sometimes break things off piece by piece, or just take on little things here and there so you don't kind of overdo it with so many things. But I feel like, wow, this is like you have some really energizing ideas and you have a huge passion to get them out there. And if you were a Gemini rising who sometimes for the last 15 years with Pluto in your 8th house, it's been hard to find the words, it's been hard to communicate what you're feeling. You've felt a little bit shy for some reason. I feel like a lot of that is going to be stripped away during this Pluto and Aquarius phase. And you're going to be feeling really like bold and brave about what you want to say and do is what I feel. So good for you, Gemini. Thanks for being you. We are going to need you during this transition. Teach us how to do it. Okay. So let's move on to Cancer. All right. And here we go. Okay, so let's move it. All righty. Whoopsies. Here we go with Cancer. So I'm just going to write it out. My very badly written word, Cancer. Cancer rising is what we're working on right now. And so for those of you that are Cancer risings, let me go ahead. And so for you guys, for the last 15 years, Pluto has been in your 7th house of marriage and partnerships. And now Pluto is moving into your 8th house, okay, of letting go, loss, decay, getting rid of things in your life that you no longer need, like willingness to let things go and move on. So Pluto is changing from your 7th house to your 8th house. Now, what's really interesting is I have a friend of mine who's a Cancer rising, And she, at the start, not at the start of Pluto in Capricorn, but when Pluto in Capricorn was directly opposing her ascendant, like by degree, during the last couple years, she started going through a divorce, and she had a very abusive husband who was very horrible to her, and it was a very hard relationship to get out of. And she'd been working on for that for years as Pluto was moving through Capricorn in her seventh house. And it's interesting because as Pluto moves into Aquarius, she is now finishing up that divorce, and that divorce is ending for her. But that's one example of, during the last 15 years, perhaps some of the Cancer risings out there, perhaps you guys have dealt with some major changes and transformations in your relationships, or there's been a severing or a cutting of ties, or perhaps you were dealing with power issues and power struggles in your relationship. And, how you handle those energies and what you were doing in the last 15 years is the way that your relationships and the way you did relationships was changing. And now Pluto is moving into Aquarius. Now, the eighth house is also a house of inheritances, debts, legacies. It's also a house of our spouse's money. And, there's a raw independence, I feel, with Pluto into Aquarius. There is a raw independence that may feel a little bit scary, but it certainly is very bold, that I feel like is kind of coming through for Cancer risings. And let me tell you guys a little bit more here on the Cancer rising. So Pluto is leaving your seventh house of relationships, open enemies, business partnerships, legal contracts, conflicts, and people who directly and are publicly engaged with. So Pluto is leaving your seventh house and leaving your house of marriage. And I mentioned my Cancer rising friend who is divorcing her abusive ex as this is going on, her relation. And she was in that relationship for a really long time. So I noticed when Pluto comes through, it's everything in your life. If your life is tied up in tiny little knots all over this place, it's Pluto goes about the very long task of unraveling everything and releasing everything. And for my Cancers, Pluto is entering now your eighth house, and it is the winding up of affairs related to money. Okay. Some of you may have a partner that comes into your life that's very financially wealthy, because Pluto does have to do with wealth, and Pluto does have to do with resources that are underground. Hopefully my Cancers are not entering into a phase where a partner is keeping financial information from them or is hiding financial information from them. Or I feel it is important for my Cancers to have a good idea of what is going on with their own finances and with the finances of the person that they're with. And Cancers also don't need to be with anybody who's extremely controlling financially. One thing I do like about this is perhaps Cancer meets someone in their life who offers them some type of financial opportunity, or to go in on a collective deal on a financial opportunity, which it may involve the wiping out of debt or the incurring of debt. But it could be kind of like a group project. Also for my Cancers who are partnered up or will be getting married in the next 20 years, or maybe you don't know if you're going to be getting married or not, but maybe you'll have a significant other. But for my Cancers, I also see the potential in your partnership relationships to have these deep discussions about, money, resources, how you were raised financially, what did you grow up with financially? And I also see the capacity for a partner to help Cancer save money, or do better with their money or help their partner eliminate debt. Because Pluto is definitely elimination and the eighth house is debt. So it could be like, okay, let's pool our resources together, Aquarius, and I will help you, get rid of your student loans, or I will help you pay off this debt. It could also be that Cancer experiences an inheritance from family that kind of comes out of nowhere that has to be divided up, and Cancer is in the middle of that, or Cancer is having to work through those issues as it relates to family, okay, and money and the divvying up of inheritances, legacies, resources. But just know when Pluto comes into your eighth house, it comes in to stay for like a very, very long time. And let me just say too, Cancer, like, I had a period of my life where I had a couple partners come into my life, and they really encouraged me to like do better with my money, and also to like invest my money, or to really think about my money in new ways. And, the money that I was able to save and invest during that time really did, help me out. And so sometimes even just being around people with a different mindset about, finances, money, et cetera, is helpful, because it helps us move, even if that person doesn't stay in your life forever, like the way they think or the way they do things does have an impact, And so my Cancers, I would stay open to like a positive influence that a partner could have on you with money. But I would also be open to, I would also realize the potential for there to be struggles in money with partnerships, or partners who are very like, because Aquarius is a fixed sign too, like very demanding about the way they see things or the way they want things when it comes to money, resources, finances of the family, things like that. Okay, Cancer. So those are some things. And if you're like, well, that doesn't sound very glamorous, like Gemini sounded way better than mine, and I just got off of a seventh house transit, in Capricorn. And I hear you guys. I really, really do. And, yeah, the cardinal signs, we've been dealing with it. At least Pluto isn't, opposing your ascendant is a lot harsher, I think, like directly opposing your ascendant, direct power struggles, fighting with people, dealing with, abuse or trauma in relationships. Like Pluto is moving on. So I do like that. It is moving on from your seventh house. And, one thing that you guys may be deciding to do is to get free from debt, to eliminate debt, to pay off your mortgage, to pay off any debt that you owe. Like that's a very, very freeing feeling. Also, it may be time to cut off any ungrateful financial users in your life. Okay. And do it in a very, cold and final way, as we see with Pluto and Aquarius. And don't avoid money or business discussions, and don't over leverage yourself with debt, taxes, or get behind on these issues. Okay. And if there are massive inheritance battles going on, it may be very draining. You may want to try to stay out of that to the extent that you can. You may also see, for those of you that do have a partner or spouse, you may see some changes in your spouse's income where they're actually like making better money, because Pluto does have to do with wealth. Okay. And so there is this idea of being very tenacious and responsible with money, and using it in the proper way. Because Cancer, for those of you that are like trying to pay down your mortgage, or you want to buy a house, or you want to get to a place of financial freedom so you can do whatever you want, I do think the next 20 years are like really critical for that. So pay attention to that and be aware of that. And that is what I have to say for my Cancers. I'm going to go ahead. And I would also say to Cancers is, Pluto is in a quincunx to your ascendant, and Pluto does have to do with letting go and accepting losses. And, sometimes we cause ourselves more pain and more struggle because we're not willing to let go of something, and we're not really willing to kind of like face the hardship or face the music on something, but it would be better to face it and let go than to keep, and Pluto has a way of doing that. I think Pluto does have a way sometimes of like forcing acceptance. It's like, yeah, it's gotta go. It really does gotta go. And I feel like for you guys, getting rid of influences in your life that don't really fit where you're trying to head in your life are kind of, it's going to be important for you guys as you really look at your goals in the future. Okay. So let's go ahead and get some cards here for Cancer and see, what does Cancer need to know as they're moving into this 8th house, Pluto and Aquarius? What does Cancer need to know here? And, behaving in like a cold way towards people may not be something that Cancer is all that used to, but I do think, there is this element of like, I have to be kind of maybe controlled or cold when I'm kind of letting things go. And I have to keep pushing in my own life and making progress in my own life. And I do think that is a big piece of what Cancer is looking at with Pluto and Aquarius. Okay. So let's go ahead and get you guys a card here, and then we will be on to Leo. All right. For my Cancer risings, let's go ahead and see, what does Cancer rising need to know, please? What do they need to know? All right. So your guys' card, choose you every time. Choose you every time. Even if it means you have to put some defenses up and be cold and let go of things. And I think you guys learned that as Pluto was going through your 7th house, and perhaps you were understanding the consequences of not choosing yourself every time, or you were dealing with maybe times where the intensity of your relationships were overwhelming you. But I do feel like with Pluto moving out of Capricorn, it actually is better for you guys because you're more detached in a way, and you're able to let go in a way that is more detached. And I feel that is a lesson that you could have learned from Pluto and Capricorn, opposing your ascendant, is to choose yourself every time, to bet on yourself and choose you every time. 8 of Cups. Letting go, definitely, like a bird set free. 3 of Wands, moving on, okay? Knight of Swords, okay? Facing things, new ideas. The Knight of Swords in the tarot does represent Aquarius. And so I really think this is the Aquarius part about, letting go and moving on from some of the changes that you've been going through. And, the more that you go back to something and try to restart it over and over, the more painful it gets. There is peace in letting go. Look at the dove of peace with the 8 of Cups there. There is peace in letting go. There is emotional surrender. There is emotional peace in letting go. And in its place, like, you get new ideas, you get excitement, you get like a new way of looking at things and a new way of experiencing things that you did not have before. Okay. And don't let anybody suck you in, because they appeal to your emotions. I think Pluto and Aquarius is going to be like putting up a block to that and realizing the peace and letting go. Okay. So that is what I am getting for my Cancers. I hope that reading resonated for you, for your Pluto into Aquarius. Let us move on to Leo, okay? And here we go with, it went crazy. Now we got to go back. Okay. Let's go to Leo. Here we are with Leo. Okay, you guys. So let's write down Leo. Leo. There we are. Okay. So Leos, get ready, my friends. So for my Leos, you had Pluto in Capricorn for the last 15 years in your 6th house. Okay. And Pluto in Aquarius is moving into your 7th house of partnerships. Okay. And it will be opposing your ascendant. And so Leo is getting the Pluto opposition now. And for the last 15 years, while Pluto was in Capricorn in the 6th house of ill health, daily work, obstructions, strength against opposition, the struggle to achieve, physical problems. Okay. And for my Leos in the last 15 years who have been dealing with physical health issues or physical problems and, issues with skin allergies, issues with their knees, issues with, basically their joints, their skin, allergies, etc. For all of my Leo rising folks who've been dealing with particular health issues for the last 15 years, like Pluto is moving out of your 6th house and moving into Aquarius. And, the 6th house also has to do with low paid jobs, service jobs, employees, overwork, labor and toil. Okay, illness and disease. Okay, the 6th house is not an easy house. It's a difficult house. And, for you guys, because Capricorn rules your 6th house, it is the painstaking process of building goals and dreams and the need to cleanse and heal yourself from the daily debris and the daily stress that accumulates for Leo. Now, Leo rising is a very strong constitution. Like just a Leo rising in general, unless their sun is afflicted in some way, generally has a very strong constitution. So Pluto has been going through your 6th house. And it's interesting because my boyfriend is a Leo rising, and I was asking him, and he knows astrology. So I was asking him, how has Pluto in the 6th house been for you over the last 15 years? Like, what has happened important to you? And he's like, well, my arthritis went away. And I find that really interesting because, of course, arthritis has to do with the bones. And he also said his allergies, like he used to have way, way worse allergies and very bad arthritis. And he said around 2008, 2009, when Pluto went into Capricorn in his 6th house, he stopped having arthritis and, issues with his joints and things like that. And so I also think Pluto has the power to heal. Pluto has the power to clear out all of that debris that's been kind of building up in our system, particularly in the 6th house, where you want to be really focused on detoxing and getting rid of poisons and toxins and everything that kind of build up. But I also know my boyfriend's life over the last 15 years, and he's been working really, really hard too to build things and build structures in his life. And for my Leos who have, been doing that, Pluto is moving into Aquarius right now. And as Pluto moves into Aquarius, it is opposing your ascendant in Aquarius. And here's what I'm saying for you guys is for my Leo rising people, you can no longer continue to stretch yourself too thin for other people. Okay. Partnerships, business, relationship contracts, etc. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for personal growth for you as Pluto opposes your ascendant. And there's going to be a chance for you to address power dynamics in your relationships with others up front, okay, from the very beginning. There will also be changes in how others see you and possibly changes in your appearance because Pluto is opposing your ascendant as well. And Pluto can definitely change your ascendant. It's or change the way you look. It's you've got blonde hair, blue eyes, and then after Pluto is done messing with your ascendant, you've got black hair and you're wearing all black, So I know because I have Pluto on my ascendant, Natalie, and I used to change my look constantly. And so there is that constant transformation with Pluto. And so some of you may find that you look very different, or you're changing your appearance, or you find that other people are interpreting you in a particular way. And you're like, well, that's not really the way that I am. And I don't know why they're looking at me like that. And, the reason I think is for the Leo rising folks to realize you can't always control how other people see you. And you may be the villain in someone else's story, but as long as you know who you are, I mean, we're not going to be, all of us are the villain in somebody's story, right? But if we spend all of our time trying to like fix and help, or if we spend all of our time trying to fix people's perceptions of who we are and things like that, it just takes away from like what we're trying to do. And so, with Pluto opposing your ascendant, I do feel like some of the Leos may feel very triggered by other people's observations of them. Like, what do you mean you think I'm doing this? Or why do you think I'm doing that? Or that's not who I am, and perhaps there is a learning opportunity and like seeing yourself in different ways. But I also think that if somebody is trying to be, for example, if a partner is trying to be jealous or controlling or, overrule you on certain things, it is an opportunity to understand like where your boundaries are and what you believe about yourself. And again, we can't always control the way that other people perceive us, but we can control ourselves and act in integrity. And so I think that that is something that is going to come up. Also, my Leos may be with partners who are having like sexual awakenings and are having partners who are like coming into like a new sexuality, or partners who are opening up to new things sexually. So I have to mention that too. And Leo may be the teacher and the guide in that, all right? Or you have a partner that has like a different sexuality than one you've experienced in the past. Like there could be multiple expressions of that. But I also think, issues of, monogamy, sexuality, partnerships, modern day partnerships that maybe allow for like a different definition, like monogamy versus non-monogamy, partners that have alternative ways of existing in relationships. Because again, Pluto is in Aquarius, which can be in a very alternative type of a sign. And, how you feel about that, Leo, and if you're with people that kind of challenge the way that you see relationships or you see them going, or if in your partnerships there comes up issues about, past betrayals, heartaches, cheating, what is cheating, who holds the power position in the relationship, and, where does this other person come from in the way that they see relationships? And is it very different from me? And are they trying to impose that on me? These are some of the things that may come up for my Leo rising people as you guys are moving through Pluto and Aquarius. And I mean, it could be a very powerful time of personal growth. Don't get me wrong. And it could also be a time of people being very magnetically attracted to you sexually, or being very magnetically drawn to you, or you becoming very magnetically drawn to certain people as well. But also we have to understand, like, are we good for each other? And are we supportive, and are we good for each other? This type of energy. And Luna Love, yay, you are here. I'm so glad you're here, Luna Love. Thank you. Thank you so much. Fluid, so here for all of it, as long as it's respectful. Yeah, Luna Love, just talking about how relationships can be fluid, sexualities can be fluid. There's an openness with Aquarius, and Leo rising isn't always, at least most of the Leo risings that I've I've read a lot of charts for Leo rising people, and a lot of them are not like, oh yeah, let's explore this thing that kind of scares me, or I've never, a lot of them are more, maybe have a little bit more of a traditional thing about relationships. So I do think that this could be very interesting for Leo as things are changing in your relationship and new attitudes and new structures are kind of presenting themselves. Okay. But I also think that there is like a magnetic quality that is very much present in your attractions with others. And it's like, I don't know why, but it's there. And I feel this magnetic pull. And yeah, and I think that's a Luna love. I think that's a really positive attitude. Like, be fluid as long as it's respectful. And, you know, Leo's kind of maybe growing into more of that type of attitude. Who knows? My Leo rising people may sacrifice me in the comments and say, I would never do that. But, you know, there we are. Okay. And I also think for some of my Leo rising folks, freeing yourself from dependency on partners, you know, your identity and your will being subject to pressure from other people, and don't strive to control and direct other people as much, because you may find they are like rebelling against you and having power struggles against you. So try not to do that. At the end of the day, just be integrated and in control of yourself. You may be attracting intense partners that maybe have a lot of demands or strong viewpoints about the world. So, you know, understanding how you feel about that and what that means for you. Okay. Also, you may have a partner who, for those of you that are already partnered up, you may have a partner that is going through a major change. And so the way you approach the relationship is changing. This could be like my Leo risings who have a partner who is transitioning, you know, to another gender, or a partner who's coming out and is bi, or in pan, or another sexuality, or a partner who is going through some, and maybe it doesn't have anything to do with sexuality. It could have to do just with my partner is going through some really deep changes in their life, and they really need me to hold this space for them right now. And that may be a thing that is coming up as well. Okay. And I think with this, you know, Leo, Aquarius, Pluto stuff going on, that we do need to be compromising and finding solutions that represent, you know, equal compromise as much as possible, and ensure that compromises in partnerships are balanced, and for a new level of trust to develop within the relationship. And so this is also of an energy of, we don't want to be hiding problems underneath the surface in a relationship, because they just grow and grow and grow, and then like erupt over time like a volcano, which is very much like a plutonic thing, to kind of like erupt like a volcano. So it's, you know, so we don't want to like shove things under the surface, and we don't want to just like keep going and shove them under. We want to be present with what the changes are. And so I think that that's very interesting for Leos. And like I think I mentioned earlier to you guys, like my boyfriend's a Leo rising. And so we were having some interesting talks. And obviously, you know, I'm like, well, Pluto is in your seventh house of partnerships. Like, what's happening to me? I guess, how am I changing for you? Right. And what am I going to change? You know, like, we're all changing, but geez, wow. Anyway, you guys, so let's go ahead. Luna Love says, I need to book a reading with you. Yay. I would love that. I would love that. Astrology reading, tarot reading, whatever, or both, whatever you have in mind, my dear. Let's go ahead and get some tarot messages for Leo rising as they approach this new period. Let's get some messages. Okay. All righty. And we will get them a card from the deck here. And let's go ahead and take a look at what we have for Leo rising. Okay, my loves, Leo rising. Here we go. Okay. Ooh, Leo rising, your wildest dreams deserve a chance. Ooh, boy, getting wild up in here. Your wildest dreams deserve a chance, my loves. Ooh, we have the Magician. I love that. Making things happen. The Fool. Yeah, you know what? New, like exciting opportunities that are very different and unique. Like the Fool in the tarot resonates with like Uranus type of energy. And Uranus is like the modern day ruler of Aquarius. And so, you know, two quirky weirdos get together and create change in the world and have a very dynamic, thoughtful partnership is kind of what I'm seeing. And actually, I kind of feel like, you know, the way for someone to pull a Leo rising in, particularly in this new period, is to make them think and to activate their mind. And this is very exciting. I feel like what this is saying is don't be afraid of the changes. Like if you're, oh, scary Pluto is opposing my ascendant in Leo, it's actually good. Like it's actually good that you guys try something new. And maybe you go out of the box a little bit and you talk to different people and you get to know different people. And it's like exciting in a way. And the Three of Pentacles, wow. I kind of feel like you guys, and again, the seventh house has to do not just with romantic relationships, but also like with business partnerships, colleagues, you know, people that we partner up with. I see like a very exciting, fruitful partnership, Three of Pentacles, that actually makes sense. And maybe it only makes sense to you two. Maybe no one else gets it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. How do these two have anything in common? Why are they together? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it's like, well, because we get shit done together and we do understand each other and we are eccentric oddballs and we have a lot of fun together. And there is a lot of like new energy that is available to you guys. And I also feel for Leo risings, if you're looking for a business partner or you're looking for like somebody to go in on a new venture with you, I feel like, wow, it could bring some powerful, interesting new associates into your life as well, and like a business opportunity as well. So something that I feel like doesn't seem maybe that it's long lasting or that it has a lot of longevity actually ends up being really exciting and really fun. And things change, you know, things change in partnerships. I feel you guys could have at least like a 3-year partnership with the Three of Pentacles there. Could have like at least a 3-year period there that's very, and who knows, maybe longer, but I do feel like a very strong 3-year growth period with somebody that really opens up your eyes to new things and new opportunities. Your wildest dreams deserve a chance. Go for it. Go for it, my babies. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to Virgo. Let's do it, Virgo. And Leo risings too. I think, you know, don't let anything cheapen the moment. Like if you're in a really good moment with someone and the sparks are flying and the energy is flying, keep building on it. Don't let it go. Keep building on it. Don't let egos or, you know, like sometimes like something good starts and we get so concerned like with, you know, people get real concerned with egos or being right or being the first one to do something or whatever. Just go for the ride is what I feel is what it's saying here. Go for the ride, Leo. If you feel like doing it, take the ride. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to, whatchamacallit, Virgo. We got to move on to Virgo. Okay. I'm going to write Virgo. I don't know why I am only not even half done, but there's Virgo. Okay. So we are on Virgo rising. Now, for Virgo rising, the thing that we want to realize is that Pluto has been in the 5th house for Virgo rising and for the last 15 years. And now Pluto is moving into Aquarius, which is the 6th house for Virgo for the next 20 years. And Luna Love, yay, wildest dreams. Gen X Yogi, love it. Time for a change, Leos. You're, thanks, Gen X Yogi. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And love your guys' comments. Thank you very much. And Virgo rising. So now we move for Virgo risings. They've had the fifth house here. They've had Pluto and Capricorn trining their ascendant. And now they're having Pluto in Aquarius, which is in a more challenging relationship to their ascendant. But I'm actually okay with it because I actually think Pluto in Aquarius is going to be good for the Virgos, actually. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about for the last 15 years, since 2008, Pluto has been in your fifth house of pregnancy, children, good fortune. It's been in a trine to your ascendant, in the fifth house of pleasure, joy, play, gaming, creativity, love affairs, sport, and gifts. Okay, the fifth house also has to do with your mojo, the arts, dancing, holidays, parties, leisure. Okay, and it's been trining your ascendant. So for the last 15 years, for my artistic Virgos who consider themselves to be somewhat creative, like Pluto for the last 15 years in your fifth house was encouraging you to express yourself. And perhaps some of you were able to gain even financially from gaming, play, art, sport, holding events. For my Virgos who are event planners or have anything to do with the event planning space, the gaming space, whether you work at these events or you take part in these events, for the last 15 years, Pluto has been trining your ascendant, encouraging you to step up to the plate and take charge in these spaces. And it could have been really good for your self-esteem or really good for, your self-expression and expressing yourself in the world. Okay. Also for my Virgos that had children in the last 15 years, or your journey in the last 15 years does have to do with getting pregnant, or perhaps maybe some of my Virgos maybe had a challenging issue with pregnancy, or there were pregnancies that didn't come to full term or things like that. But at the same time, you were able to heal from things, or at the same time, you had a child later and it made up for it. For all my Virgos who've been going through things for the last 15 years as it relates to children, having babies, etc., just know that you're seen and heard in this reading. And for those of you where like motherhood changed your entire life and it's been a huge like fifth house focus for you, I totally get you. I see you in that. And, I do feel like Virgo's leadership was needed in these spaces big time. And perhaps some Virgos were leading events or in charge of even just like being in charge of game night and having fun and having a place where people can actually enjoy themselves and be with others. It's a huge thing, right? And just how much like